Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're glad to be with you again. And today's topic is why your customer success will lead to your success. That seems like a win-win, David.
It does, but it's not something that gets implemented nearly often enough.
Mm,
This is something like when you ask somebody, like, why are you going into business? Why are you doing this? Why did you decide I'm
right.
going to start my business? And every time I talk to somebody, it's usually something around the word freedom. And freedom
Mm,
can be a number of different things. It can be economic freedom. So you need to make some extra money, you need some extra cash flow to help you out in your life. It could be time freedom, like maybe you're working two jobs or you're working another job that's demanding everything that it can take of you and it's just sucking the life out of you.
yeah.
It could be that just the work environment you is bad where are right now, and you need a break. You need to get out of that. You want to control your own environment. You want to be in a place where you're going to control how much you work. You're going to control how much money you make. You're going to control the environment that you work in. And so it's freedom from all those things, freedom to create your own space.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't usually hear, or at least I don't hear as often, the phrase, I want to solve this problem for somebody.
Yeah.
I want to create a solution and help this group of people get an outcome that they're struggling to get on their own.
Mm,
And when you have that mentality, that's what you need to have a successful business.
mm,
And yet so many people, and as a business even grows, when the business grows, and you start off, a lot of times you even start off, you're very
yeah.
hyper focused on keeping your customers happy because you're like, I don't have a ton of customers, so I'm going to super serve all of them so they all feel like
Yeah.
they're getting way more value than what they're paying because they feel incredibly cared for and taken care of. And you want that, which is valuable. But then as the business starts growing and growing, a lot of times the tendency is to start looking at numbers. Like,
Mhm.
okay, what was our return on an ad spend? Or how much is our bottom line profit? How much is,
Yeah.
and you start looking at numbers. And the question that gets dropped is, how happy are the customers?
Yeah.
And if you're not focused on that, and if you don't understand that, you're going to start missing it. And the reason why I say that is that there's a reason the customer came to you. Okay. And the reason that customer came to you is they had a problem,
Mhm.
and they had something that was going wrong in their life, something, or there's one or two things. They had something that was going wrong in their life and they need some help.
Yep.
Think of a flat tire. Like,
Right.
I'm driving my car, I got a flat tire, I need to get the tire fixed. So I got a problem. Can you please fix my flat tire and I'll pay you to patch it? Like, that's a very simple,
Right.
problem solve scenario. The other side of it is like, I have something I'm trying to achieve in my life and I'm struggling to figure out how to do it.
Mhm.
You're like, I'm trying to start as my own little small business, but it's not as easy as just posting something on Facebook and saying, here I am, come buy from me.
Ta-da!
I'm doing this now. Well, you and everybody else like has got
Yeah.
a little business that they're running,
Yeah.
and as a result, people are going to go, great, we're so happy for you. They'll clap and support you, but you're probably not going to get a lot of like,
Yeah.
and people immediately running up their credit card. Hey, how can I buy?
Yeah. How do I pay you today? I
Yeah,
just want to pay. I just want to spend some money with you.
I don't usually see that one happening with myself for sure, or with other people. And so the reality is, the only way that's going to happen is you have to really understand what your customer wants.
Mhm.
And there's this whole process, whenever we do this, like in our last business, um, the thing that we primarily did was we help people publish books. And so people would come to us for the level one problem, which was, I'm trying to publish a book. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I have a goal. I want to get a book published, but I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to publish it. I don't know how to go through the publishing process of
Yep.
actually getting a book in print. I try and go to traditional publishers. They don't want to talk to me because I don't have like tens of thousands of followers on social media. And so because of all these things, I can't get it done. And plus, I'm not really sure how to structure a book, how to write it. I
Yeah.
need some guidance and help on laying it out or putting it together, how to get a cover, all that stuff. So that's the initial problem. But then what we discovered is a lot of these people are still sticking around.
Mm.
They got their book published, but they haven't left.
Mhm.
And so what we realized is this is something called dimensionalizing. And this is a big word, dimensionalizing the benefit.
Okay.
And this is an old Todd Brown term. And I was like, I know exactly what he's saying, but boy, you could have picked a smaller word. Like, Todd, you picked the big word to describe this one, didn't you?
It sounds really important.
It sounds really, really important, really, really complex. You got to be really smart to know what this one means. But there's this concept called dimensionalizing the benefit. And what this is you have like layer one benefit of like for us, the people came in, I'm going to publish a book. Okay, that's your level one benefit. Come on in. We'll help you get that done. We'll help you achieve your goal, so on and so forth. And then what we realized is but there's another level to the benefit. And that is, I want to be in a community of other authors who are writing books, and not only writing books, but then building businesses around their books, like creating courses and selling them and getting on stages and getting invited to speak in places and going off and coaching people on my content. All of those types of things were going like you did, Chris, which is go into organizations and start training people and training companies or departments in companies. Those are the things. And what they were experiencing is they wanted not just the book, but they also wanted the culture that they were in. And one of the things we realized in our last business is one of the primary drivers of people sticking around and continuing to spend money with us was the culture that we had created. We had created a culture of not only do people come here and get their books published, but then they also get to be around all these other like-minded people who help each other, who give each other ideas, who encourage each other, but then they also help each other go out and earn income off their message and help get ideas. And they help each other get themselves out there. And so there was this whole other layers of benefit. And when you're marketing your business, when you're marketing your services, is incredibly important to understand, what does my customer truly want? Because there's the stated benefit. And I was just talking to somebody yesterday, one of our clients. I was on a call with one of our clients yesterday, and she just went around and visited a whole bunch of salons. And she, said, I assumed that this is what they wanted. And as I was having conversations with them all, that's not what they were saying. And I was like, fascinating. So, and here's even the deeper issue is they'll tell you what they want, which is they want a solution to a symptom that they're facing. There's like, for these people, they're having problems managing their teams. These people running salons, they had, all these beauticians that were working for them. Some of them were working out okay, some of them weren't, but they were having lots of drama with their team. People weren't going out and doing a good job of getting clients. And as a result of all the drama and the team management issues, they weren't as successful as they should have been. And yet what they were saying was, well, I just need people to stop fighting. I need people to listen to me. I need people to do this. Well, those are the problems that they're talking about. But what they really need is to become a better leader. They're not leading their teams as well as they should. And this is a lot of things that you do a lot, Chris, is that you speak into this a lot. And the stated problem that you need to outline in your marketing is you need to talk to them where they are. You may say, hey, you know what? I can help you get your team in line. But what you're really saying is, I can teach you how to be a better leader. Because that ultimately is what causing your team not to be in alignment with each other.
Well, and to your point about the symptoms thing, right, is if we may, and this is where I think a lot of people struggle, is we may know that there are underlying issues in whether it's leadership, whether it's business building, whatever. health, finances, but we can't speak to that deeper level like you're saying at the beginning because that's not what they're feeling or experience, in their current moment. It's like a doctor, right? A doctor diagnoses problems or diagnoses the underlying cause of the problems, the symptoms, but we don't go to the doctor because we know we have that underlying problem. We go to the doctor because we have the symptoms. And so isn't that similar with marketing and advertising?
100%. 100% is we go in and we say, I got a pain in my side, like I have a side ache.
Right.
Well, it's indicative of something else that's going on inside of you. I mean,
Right. There's
something
a
else is
cause to that
happening
pain.
that's causing that pain, but all you're thinking is, man, my side hurts. And here's another way of looking at it. And the reason that this is so important is because if you truly want to create a customer culture where your people want to be with you, and this is particularly important when you're in a business like we are now creating, which is a membership based business where people pay you every month. Like they're paying you on an ongoing basis to be part of your business. Um, think about it this way, and this is a great example I heard many years ago, and it's always resonated with me. So you have a dad who decides, I need to buy a drill. Okay, I need a drill. And so he's going to go to the hardware store. So you're going to look up, okay, I'm going to go to the hardware store because I need to go buy a drill. And so your marketing could just be, hey, $10 off this drill. That's being a level one marketer. That's like top of the waves, top of the surface. Like, okay, you want a drill? I got a drill. It's on sale, whatever, 10%, 10, whatever off. And you can get this one. It's a good model that's on sale. Okay, great. But if you really want to create a loyal customer, you got to be able to understand what's driving the behavior. Why does he want a drill?
Yeah.
Well, then if you look at the dad's story a little bit deeper and you understand, and this just simply comes down to you need to understand your customers better than you do currently. Yeah. And so when you look at why did the dad want to come buy a drill? He just,
he's just a drill collector.
He just needed more holes in his life. What was the purpose behind him coming to buy a drill? Well, then you dig a little deeper and you realize, he's buying a drill because he wants to do this woodworking project with his son. He has a young son. They wanted to create, they had a project that they were doing. They had something they wanted to do together. So he's in buying a drill so they could do this project. Well, why does he want to do this project? Well, he wants to have some quality time with his son. Well, why does he want to have quality time with his son? To make a memory. Mm-hmm. He wants to do something with his son so that they can create a memory and they can create a connection point together. Mm-hmm. That's the real reason why they're doing it. Yeah. That's why. So then if you start shifting and thinking about your marketing could start showing pictures of fathers and sons doing woodworking projects together. Come in and get this amazing drill and think about all the things that you could do. Your marketing is now drilling down to the core desire of what your customer is. And so there's a process that you can go through. Like, how do you know? How do you know why someone's doing something? Well, it's in the word that I just said. Why? So when you're meeting and talking to your customers or your potential customers, you just need to keep asking them, so why is that important to you? So why do you want that? Why? And a lot of times it will take 6 or 7 rounds of asking the question why for you to actually get to the base core driving reason as to why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're going to say, well, I need it because of X, surface level. Great. And that's just transactional. Right. All that is, I'm hungry for an apple and you have an apple. Here we go. With the two meet, here you go. Right. Just very transactional. But you have to understand there's a depth behind all that. And the better job that you can do, excuse me, of understanding the depth of what your customers want, the better off you're going to do as a marketer. Yeah. The better off you're going to do at keeping your customers happy.
Well, I was gonna say I just heard this great example yesterday that I think speaks to this too. So Calvin Klein, for years their marketing was to like the young fit 20 something. It was underwear commercials and all these things, right? Well, their sales started declining, and I think it was Van Heusen ended up buying Calvin Klein, and they went to this company. This guy that was presenting at a seminar I was at, he said they basically said, can we dig into what's going on here? Like, why is the decline? Because Calvin Klein was a big brand back in the 80s, 90s, or whatever. Um, and what they found out was their target audience had changed, and all the people that had been buying Calvin Klein clothing, underwear, all those things, they're not 20 somethings anymore. They're
They got
middle
older.
aged. They're 30s and 40s. They're now married. They have kids that, they have different desires. They're the average waist size is not, a 28 anymore. It's a 36 kind of a thing.
Funny how
And
that works.
yeah, and they started really doing this research, and they realized that, hey, the market has shifted. The people that have been your loyal customers, it's shifted to a new phase of life, essentially. And so what he said was, he goes, they resisted it at first, but then finally he said one of the next commercials he saw, it was these like 30 somethings with, in a kitchen around, the countertop, like they're cooking, they're drinking wine, they're little girls in the like shot. I mean, so now it's like they had to change, but the company was declining because they had these assumptions
Right.
that I'm still reaching out for these 22, 25-year-old, young, fit, single people, and that's not who their audience was anymore.
Right.
And so to your point, it's like, do you understand who your people are?
Right.
And I think this is so important, like you're talking about. It's, at the end of the day, like our client you're talking about, that market research of her having those conversations is so invaluable.
Right.
I recently did a survey with some people on my email list, and I put together like an 8 or 10 question survey to ask them about some leadership questions about what kind of topics would be helpful to you. And the answers they gave me, I gave them some like suggested things, and then I gave them the option to also give me some, write in. I learned so much from just a few people giving me a few answers of that they'd really like to learn or need help with that I had not been thinking about. So I think to your point, we have to do
Right.
this work of understanding what are these people looking for, because as you said, the symptoms, even at the things they say they want, there's
Right.
still something beneath that, but you have to meet them where they are.
Right. And think about it. If all you were doing, which is what sounds like Calvin Klein was doing, was we provide really nice, quality, stylish shirts.
Right.
And people who want quality, stylish shirts, they're going to buy them.
Hmm.
Well, okay, but you didn't really understand your target market.
Right.
You didn't really understand your customer because that wasn't just the reason they were buying your shirts.
Yeah.
And as your customers' needs shifted, you didn't shift with them.
Hmm.
You didn't move with them. And that's exactly what I'm trying to drive at here
Yeah.
is like, you got to think about it. Like when when I was talking to our client yesterday, I was, said, here's one of the things that most businesses don't understand. If you can create a relationship with your customer, if you can create a connection point with your customer so they feel like I I love going to this business. I love, and if you're online, I love engaging and working with these people. I
Yeah.
love interacting with them. I love working with them. If I'm going to hire somebody for something or I'm going to pay somebody for something, it's always going to be them because I just love how they treat me. I love how they work. I love how they do things. And this is my place. Well, what ends up happening is, and in the example of the salons that our client was speaking to, I said, what's the lifetime value of that customer? Because here's the thing, hair grows, and that sounds
As
like,
long as you don't lose it,
well,
right?
okay, fair enough,
You got a
fair
nice
enough.
thick head of hair.
Well, for people who are clients of these salons,
Right, the ladies,
the
most.
ladies, okay, maybe I need to clarify a little bit, but hair grows. And
Yeah,
so that means you can come in and get a nice haircut, but then after so many weeks, you're going to need to have something else done again because, oh, like it's time to get something done again. So if somebody looks at you and says, oh, this is my favorite place, they treat me really well, they do a great job, they know what they're doing, I'm going to keep going back to them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? That one-time sale turns into, and this is what our clients have. This could be 6 sales a year.
Right.
But what happens if that client doesn't feel understood, if they don't feel cared for, if they don't feel like they're truly getting their needs met? Boop. Off they go to some other place. Like, yeah, it just didn't feel right for me. It didn't feel like this is the place I want to be.
Yeah.
Okay, you just lost that. Now you got to go out and do more marketing, more outreach, more advertising to try and get the next new client who also doesn't stick around very long.
Right.
But if you truly understand your client, you truly understand what their needs are, you truly understand what's driving their behavior, and this is what they truly want. So I can align my business to meet that.
Yeah.
Like the way that we provide our service, the way that we're going to coach people, the way that we're going to train people, the way that we're going to provide our service is going to be directly in alignment with what my customers are looking for. Your customers are just going to keep coming back. Mm-hmm. They're going to keep showing up. They're going to keep buying. They're going to keep giving you money. And once you keep building a core base of these people in your business, you don't need to, the need to keep going out and fighting new clients starts to recede, because these people have formed a very strong base for you.
Right.
And they're just continuing to pay you. And now if you want to get more clients, you actually may need to expand the business.
Yeah.
You need to bring on extra people because you can't even handle anymore. You've got all you can handle. And that's a great problem to have.
Well, don't you think too? I mean, one of the things, like kind of going back to your, initial story with the book publishing, is when you solve one problem, you end up revealing other problems along the way for people too. And so one of the things you and I've talked about is, okay, people want to write a book, get that published. They did that, but then they realize, oh, I need to learn how to sell books. I need to learn how to go get, speaking opportunities or training opportunities or whatever. And so then you had to develop a business coaching program that helps people do that. And so, and as we know with our Design Launch Grow program, that we have 3 stages, right? Somebody that may want to start a business, we help them design it from the front end. If they have one, or even after they've done that, then it's about, how do I launch that? How do I really get it out into the market? And then after that, scaling is an ongoing thing, and that growth is kind of never ending, because depending on where you are, if you're starting, offering something new as a new product or service, or you're trying to, like you said, I need to grow my team because now I've got so many clients I need to serve. That's the thing we're talking about, is that each success actually reveals new challenges and opportunities to keep moving forward. So if you serve them well, there's a guy that he used to live in the area around me, but he moved several years ago, but he was a CPA, he's an accountant. He said, Chris, he said, you'll be amazed at how many people call me, not because they need help with their money, but because they're like, do you know a plumber? Do you know a mechanic? Do you know, like, he became this great resource to them because they trusted him. The relationship was there. So they were never going to leave his business from, him doing their accounting and taxes and everything. Right. But he also, and a lot of that, I guess, was driven by the fact that he was so helpful to them in other ways. And so he built a network up of other service providers that he could always refer people to. And that wasn't something he was necessarily making money on, but it was something that made his business and his relationship with his customers so important and valuable.
Right. But that's, again, you understand your value. Like, well, he's always, and think about this as a customer. Well, he's always helping me with referring me to all these other people that are good. Well, then I don't want to then ditch him as my accountant, because he does all these other things for me.
Right.
And he's realized that he can become a hub for this person's life of all these different services. And when you start yourself out as an accountant, do you think that's what you would be thinking of? No. But this, again, is my point. This is the point of this whole episode of, if you understand truly who your customers are, what they're trying to do in life, the problem they're solving or the desire they're trying to achieve, then you will understand how to meet that need. And if you don't, you may hit the need for a while, but then your customer shifts and you didn't understand the customer well enough. And now you're like your story of Calvin Klein earlier. You're sitting there going, what happened?
Yeah.
All of a sudden our business isn't here anymore. All of a sudden we're not getting the sales that we used to get. What's going wrong? Well, your customers, you didn't truly understand your customer.
And we've seen this too, right? Where people start out well and they're serving their customers and they're listening. They do know them. They're trying to help them, but then they switch, because you mentioned at the very beginning, when you get to a certain size, you have to be careful not to just now start looking at numbers instead of the people. And because we've seen that where somebody has said, hey, look, I've got this pool of clients. Now I can just start basically marketing to them to sell more of my stuff, whether it's valuable to them or not. And if it's not, and they just feel like you're just pounding them with, buy. And they're like, no, like, I don't need that. I don't even understand why that's important to me. What you gave me before was great. That helped me with my goals. Now I just feel like you're selling me to meet your goals.
Right. And that's exactly it. And think about it this way. If you're aligned with your customers, if you're aligned with what they want, with what they need, they will happily trade you money for you to give them what they want.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, this is the simplicity of what business ultimately is. I mean, there's a lot of levels of complexity of figuring out exactly what my customer wants.
Right.
But once you're in alignment with that and you're meeting a core need,
yeah,
then your customers will say, I'll gladly pay you this much money for what you're giving back to me. What you're giving back to me is far more valuable than the money that I'm paying you.
Yeah.
And when you hit that, then not only do they stay loyal customers, they start saying, hey, John, get over here.
Yeah.
You need to look at this. This is amazing.
Even yesterday, even my next door neighbor had a couple of trees cut down, and he came to me the night before and he said, we had talked already that they need to kind of use access to our driveway to reach a couple of the trees. So we had talked, and he came over and he said, yeah, he's like, I'm using these guys again. I've used them in the past. He said, there was a guy a few weeks ago that came around knocking on doors and, offered to do tree trimming and whatnot. He goes, but I don't tend to hire those guys. This company that I'm bringing in, I've used them before. They did a good job for me. So even in that, right, like basically he needed trees cut down. That was his need. He had 2 trees that were dying or heading that direction. They needed cut down. But who did he go to? He went back to somebody he had used years ago, rather than the guy who was even on his front stoop, at his front door just a few weeks ago. But it was because of what you're talking about today.
Right. And if you could hit that, and if you can understand your customer and you can make them happy and you can take care of them and meet their needs, you'll have a customer for life. And they're going to start referring people. Conversely, if you don't and things are out of alignment, that customer is going to say, okay, never again. And not only that, I'm going to tell Chris, don't hire them.
Right.
We went through a whole thing like that this summer where we had this we needed to have our sidewalk relaid and reset because it's a brick sidewalk and the bricks were, uneven now because they had sagged and sunk in different places over time. So it just needed to be dug out, relayed a base, and all set back in. And it's just the nature of having a brick sidewalk in front of your house. And so we thought, all right, we have this company that does our lawn, does everything. And they said, well, we can do that. I'm like, all right, well, you've done a good job on our lawn, so I'm going to go ahead and hire you for this. Well, this project turned into a disaster.
Right. It was a nightmare.
And it was a nightmare. And then at the end, they weren't even giving us good service anymore. The customer service had completely dropped off. And I'm like, you did not treat me well through all this. You did not meet it hard. I mean, from a technical standpoint, you met my need, because eventually, after about 3 weeks, which was supposed to be a 4-day project, after about 3 weeks, the steps were finally reset and laid, and it was done. However,
now you're a dissatisfied customer, though.
Now I'll never hire you again. I'll let you mow the grass because you do okay with that, but I'll never hire you for anything else ever again.
But do you think? So here's the thing. But here's the thing with that, right? Do you think that they overpromised because they thought, well, we could get more money out of this customer by doing this project, even though that wasn't their skill set. Because I had this come up with the client a few months ago where I had done a training. They were very happy with the training. And then the next thing they said was, well, we need to do this strategic planning for the next 5 years. Can you help us with that? And it didn't take me more than like 2 seconds to say no, because for me, that's not my skill set. Doing strategic planning is not what I do, but I know a husband and wife team locally that's what their business is. And I said, you know what, I don't do that, but I know somebody who does. And so I referred them and said, I can connect the two of you if you'd like. But for me, so a lot of times coaches will say, "Well, sure, if I can do this, I'll do that," because it feels like, okay, I can earn more income from these people. But if I'd have done that, I knew that they're a big organization. They get federal funding. It's a big deal to them. They need to do this really well. This isn't just some mom and pop who need just a quick strategy session to come up with something to work on. This is a bigger deal, and so I'm like, if I would have said yes to that, I would have been like those guys who were maybe good at mowing the lawn, but not good at laying bricks.
Right. And that's entirely possible that, they're just trying to expand it. Well, we can do that. We can do that. It's a landscaping
Yeah,
issue
probably in a
project.
one-stop shop, right?
Right. And at the end of the day, it's not what you're best at.
Yeah.
And it's not what you're good at. And now as a result, I mean, I haven't dumped them for lawn mowing because they still do a decent job with that, but I'm never going to hire them for anything else ever again.
Right.
But because you did
Well, they
not,
still hurt their reputation with you, even though
right,
you may not fire them as mowing your lawn, but you don't have the same feeling about them today as you did
no,
before that.
right. And again, you got to think about that. This is, and you raise a good point, is if you're going to meet your needs and you're going to understand truly what your customer needs, you also, as Chris just said, need to know where you have to draw the line.
Mhm.
There's going to come a point is, okay, I understand my customers need this, but that's not really me.
Yeah.
So what I need to do is I need to find somebody that I can say, it's like your accountant friend. Like, I need a good plumber. Well, the accountants could say, well, shoot, I could come get under your sink and work on that. I could make some extra money. No, that's
Yeah.
not what you should be. But
That seems ridiculous, but that's what people do, isn't it?
right, exactly. And I know that's exactly why I use that as an example, because I'm like, this is going to be an obnoxious example just to make the point. But if you are a coach and like you just said, hey, I do this, this, and this, but you know what? No, that's not really what I do. That's
Right.
starting to delve outside of the lane of what I normally work on or what I'm normally involved in. So I'm going to stay out of that. A lot of times people will say, well, I need the money. So yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. And then like our sidewalk project, it goes poorly.
Yeah.
They end up losing money because the amount of hours they had to put in to fix, they had to rip it out and fix it and do it another time because
Yeah.
they screwed it up so bad.
And didn't even somebody get fired over that?
Yes. Someone even got fired.
Yeah.
It was a mess. We'll just leave it at that without going any deeper into
Yeah, but I mean, I guess the point is it was bad for everybody.
right.
So because the whole, once again, the topic of today is why your customer success is your success. Like they didn't have success on their end because you didn't have success on yours.
Right. Because yes, I ultimately got the transaction done. The steps were put back together. But my goal was I hire them. He said it would take 4 days. They would come in, take care of it, and I don't have to deal with it.
Right.
Because for me to do it myself, I could do it myself, but I'm going to be out there for days and days and days.
And not only that, but you had a very upset wife along the way.
Right.
So you had to manage family tension on top of the project itself.
People were conducting themselves. Correct. And anyway, so all of this rolls in. So knowing your lane, knowing exactly what you're called to do, to how you can do it. And Chris has raised a great point. If you are not good at that, even though it's related, don't do it because now you're out of alignment. Mm-hmm. And you're being asked to do something that you're not really good at. And the customer is going to figure it out eventually. Yeah. And now your reputation is going to be destroyed and you're not meeting the customer's needs anymore. You're just trying to get their money at that point. So I guess
I was just going to say, with that is, but when you help them and even refer them to a quality vendor, right, the favor that they, once again, they feel towards you is going to ultimately, it's going to lead to more sales or even more referrals. to other people that they know because they know that they can trust you. And it's, I was just talking to a client this week. We were chatting back and forth on email about something, and she had referred me to somebody, and we were just talking, kind of touching base about that. But it's because of 4 years of engaging with her and her team now as a company. She's now like one of my biggest champions in her realm, in her, industry. And it's amazing, right? It's like I don't have to work like they're like, well, Jessica, tells me I should talk to you because you've helped them with their team. Like, think about the getting that kind of referral versus I've got to go find people cold and figure out where they are versus, hey, I'm getting an email because somebody said, hey, so and so referred me to you, and I'd love to set up a call.
And that's exactly kind of like a good summary of everything that we've been talking about here, is that if you understand truly what your customer wants and you know who you are, because let's add that layer into it. You know exactly who you are and who you are not.
Yeah.
Like, again, that accountant should not be crawling under your sink to fix your plumbing,
Right.
and that's, but that applies to all of us. If that's not really your thing, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Serve your customer and give your customer that great experience for the area that you are called to serve in.
Yeah.
For that area that you're meant to help with. When you do that, all of a sudden your customer's walking away going, that is an amazing service. I got more than I wanted. He's meeting my needs at multiple levels or the multiple dimensions of what my needs are. I'm a huge fan. I'm going to be a loyal customer. And not only that, I'll tell somebody else.
Right.
And you think about that versus the transactional model, which is, well, we got it done. Okay.
Yeah.
But the customer didn't get the rest of their needs met. The customer ultimately, even like my sidewalk, the project ultimately got done.
Right.
But would you count me as a satisfied customer? No.
Well, and so even if they would have never, even if they never did it for you, they were better off not doing it for you than doing it for you.
Correct. Right. Because they lost money. I mean, ultimately the sidewalk's done and it does look good, but I'm not happy. They're not happy. And now we just have a mess on both ways, and I'll never hire them again for that kind of work. So this is why it's so important for you to understand your customer. What does your customer really want? What do they need? What's going on with them? What's important to them? And knowing who you are, knowing how to match the two so you can super serve your customers so they are just like, wow, you were giving me exactly what I need on multiple levels. You're filling up multiple levels of all of my needs. This is exactly what I needed. This is a perfect fit for me. Your customer's thrilled. They're going to keep buying. They're going to keep referring. They keep bringing people in. And it's going to create a business for you that's going to thrive as opposed to a business that constantly has to chase down new people. Would you become a client? Would you become a client? Because it's all transaction based.
Well, and I think to kind of wrap this up, we're talking mostly to our clients of being coaches, course creators, trainers, and organizations. And that tends to be, especially when you're new to advertising and marketing, you tend to lead with, I have a course or I have a coaching program, and that's not what they care about. Nobody woke up that day saying, I just need a course. I don't care what it is. I just need a course.
More videos to watch.
Right. I need more videos to watch. I need to, I need to log in to something. I'm just bored. That's not what, it's, even if you think about it from like a Netflix or, subscription services like that, people don't just want to pay a bill every month to Netflix. They want to be entertained. They want they want to view movies or shows or whatever. The same is true with our courses and our programs. That is the vehicle that we serve those people, but we have to first have an understanding of what their need is, to your point of, hey, when we're talking to people and they're saying, our shop is a mess, we don't get along, whatever. Okay, well, you have a culture issue, you have a leadership problem. Let's work on that. And here's how I help you with that. I have a coaching program, or I have a course, I have a training workshop that I can, that becomes the vehicle to help solve the problem. But be careful, folks, not to lead with, hey, I've got a new course, you should get it. Because once again, if people don't understand if that course is going to help solve their problem, then they're not going to buy it. They're not looking just to spend money on a course. So, David, this has been a great topic. I think I know I know I get a lot of energy from seeing my clients have success. When I see their growth, when I see them succeed, I know you do too. It's like when we see their wins, that's a huge win for us because we know that we've been able to help them with the challenge or the problem, the opportunities they have in front of them that they don't even see sometimes. And so folks just focus there. What is the thing that they want? What's the outcome that they're looking for? What problem is keeping them from achieving that? And when you have that answer, you can truly communicate it well. You can truly engage people, and you once again, you'll have people lining up to work with you because you become known as the person who does that. I mean, think about a heart specialist, right? If I have a need heart surgery and a heart specialist, has a great reputation of doing great surgeries, great, people heal quickly. They don't have any problems. Like that's that person gets referred a lot to other people in that situation. But if it's just a family practitioner who, oh, I think I can do heart surgery on you today. You got some problems. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe not.
Yeah. So anyway, not to keep belaboring this point, but folks, do the work like we're talking about today because when you do the payoff can be great. So if you need help with any of this, kind of figuring this out for your own business, if you're trying to kind of figure out how do I position this, how do I discover those problems or the goals of my clients that I want to serve, check out designlaunchgrow.com. Our program is designed for that to help you figure this out, to build a business of your dreams, serving the customers that you just love to work with, and then you can build that thriving business that's something that gives you that fire and that encouragement and that energy to help even more people. So check that out, and we'd love to connect with you there. So take care, and we'll see you next time.